How's it going, everyone? Got a video today with the Civic again, and today we are going to be doing the 10 things that I hate or dislike about this car. This car was built a long time ago, so it's definitely aged and it's been through things. I think I've driven this car like 15 or 20,000 miles since we restored it, and with the beginning of those few years being me when I was younger, and this car also was on coilovers for a long time too. So we're gonna get into it. We'll go over everything that we don't like. We'll do the 10 things and we'll break it up into categories so it's kind of easy to follow along too. But I like doing these videos just because for newcomers, it gives you guys a better idea of the car and how it currently is, and it's like more in depth than just like, hey, here's my car, we're doing this today or whatever. So if people are new to the channel, you can come back and watch these videos and learn a little bit about the car. So let's get into it. The 10 things that I hate about my Honda Civic. And we'll start off now with number 1. So here we are with number 1. Some of these are my fault. As I just said, this car was on coilovers for a long time. So we've got chips here. I hit stuff on the front bumper, and that was the point of give, was in the paint there. And we also have that same issue here and here, where the paint broke and cracked just because of the car bottoming out. I believe this was done from me pushing snow. So pushing the snow ended up actually cracking the paint here and on the other side. And then over time, the car has developed a couple issues with a crack right here as well. So when the car was body worked, I'm assuming something underneath it happened here, which isn't a big deal. Like I said, this car has been driven and enjoyed a lot for, like I said, 15 or 20,000 miles. But that would be number 1, is definitely the cracks in the paint. It is a bummer because overall I think the paint on the car is still in really great shape. And here we are with number 2. So there used to be trim. There was a dimple in the car doors and the fenders and in the quarter panels for black molding. And we shaved the molding and the indentations that were in this car. And you can kind of see here, the bodywork is a little bit different than it is here. And there's just it's not 100% perfect. And when I was younger, that bothered me more. I mean, it still bothers me, but nothing you can really do about it. So you can see here where the indentation used to be, there's just metal welded in this now, all the way down the quarter panel and the doors and stuff. And then we just use a little bit of filler to smooth it all out. But the same thing here on the door. And it just didn't come out as good as I was hoping it would. There's a harsh line, but the harsh line has imperfections in it. So that would be the second thing that I dislike about the car. I think one side is better than the other. Yeah, this is the side that's worse. You can tell that the line here, it just sits lower than over here. This part over here actually looks really flat, but you can see right here it just starts to come in. But this is all good, just right here it starts. Now for number 3, this is something that I have recently repaired. I repaired this last summer, I think. And funny enough, it is now an issue again. So I'm not quite sure what I need to do about it, but here it is. So I have this carbon fiber spoiler that I got used, and it had a bunch of the clear coat had failed on it. But you can see here, I re-clear coated it, and it still has these imperfections. It's like the paint looks cracked and blistered. And it does it all down the bottom of it. And there's like even like a bubble here. Some stuff up here. So it's like the clear coat failed on this. And it's not a super big deal, but like I did what I thought was gonna fix it once already, and it's still messed up. So, and I even wet sanded this and compounded it and stuff. And yeah, I guess the paint just still failed. So that's the third thing that I dislike about this car. And number 4 is something obviously that I can fix, and I should have fixed a long time ago, but funds were tighter back then, and it was something I wasn't able to do when I was younger. But this car has like almost 400,000 miles on it, and this same exact windshield has been in here that entire time. So it's got scratches in it, it's got wiper marks in it, more scratches here, and it's really pitted and maybe hard to kind of see on camera. You know, pits here. It's just really bad. So yeah, the PPG, that same logo, I believe is on all the windows. So which tells me that that windshield is the exact windshield that came in the car, which is exactly what I figured. And it's fine, but I replaced all the windshield molding, and it's actually too short. I bought OEM Honda trim, and it sucks. So I'd like to get the windshield replaced at some point, and then also get this top piece replaced. As you can see here, it's all wavy and messed up, and then it's too short, and it's that way on both sides. Now moving on to the 5th thing that I don't like or hate about this Honda is the engine mounts. So I turboed this car, and after I tuned it and got everything pretty much squared away with the turbo setup, I started driving the car harder and harder and harder, and I noticed that when shifting gears really fast, I had wheel hop. And I thought that that was due to the engine mounts, kind of what I read on like old Honda forums. People were saying that the stock engine mounts are just really bad and that they'll cause the motor to jump around. So I bought engine mounts, and that didn't fix the problem. But the engine mounts are one of the things that I really don't like, but at the same time, it kind of adds that race car-esque that it's like wanting to be. But like the mirrors, they jump around like crazy. The inside the car, everything just rattles really intensely. So although they're good mounts and they do exactly what they're supposed to, and I knew what I was doing when I bought those mounts, because I think these are like 65A grade poly, and they're on the firmer side. So it's not like if this was a surprise. I knew that it was going to be like this, but I wanted the wheel hop issue fixed, and it didn't do it. So, oh well, I've got the mounts now, and they're good forever, so. And if you couldn't guess what number 6 would be, it's that the car has wheel hop. So, although the engine mounts are its own separate thing that I dislike, I kind of wish the car had stock mounts still, in a way. But this car needs a traction bar in the front. And I think that with just all those bushings in the front end of this car having nearly 400,000 miles on them, that they're worn out and they're weak. And what's happening is when I'm shifting the car really fast, the motor is staying in its place as well as the transmission, but the wheel is trying to pull the car forward, but the car is trying to pull itself back. And what's happening is I need something that's tying the car to the suspension so that the wheel is locked in one steady place. And it just kind of is what it is, but at some point we're gonna get a traction bar for this car and get it set up, because it's hard on all the suspension stuff, and I definitely don't want to break anything or have to like go through and do all the suspension bushings, which I should do anyways, but I really think that the traction bar is gonna just solve that problem. So the 7th thing that I dislike about this car is actually one of the things that I really do enjoy about it, which is this car doesn't have door handles. Now, if the car just didn't have door handles and everything worked as it was supposed to, it would be great. But I have a solenoid in this door, and it pulls on the linkage coming from this latch, which is controlled by a remote. And that solenoid, we've always had issues with it where the solenoid isn't strong enough. And I've tried using leverage to my advantage to try and pull the door open better every time, but it was kind of like hit and miss, and it didn't always work reliably. Now, and I actually got stranded with this car when I was out on a date one time, and I had to, luckily I didn't have this window trim on at the time. So what I was able to do is I took a political sign. I took the cardboard piece off, or like a house for sale sign, and I took the metal rod and I was able to bend it and stuff and get it down in the door to pull the latch open. Funny enough, right as my dad was pulling in, which we were like an hour away from home, right as he was pulling in, I was able to get in the car. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, the door popper system has always given me trouble, and I really would like to switch the driver's door at least out and put a power window in this so that I can have that same remote, but rather than the remote operating the door popper solenoid, it would just be way more efficient if it just actuated a window motor to roll the window down. Which a lot of Volkswagens do that, because I think Volkswagens have that built into their programming in the car. But if this car had that, that would be the ultimate setup. Now for number 8 is something that my dad told me about and said that I was gonna want done when we initially built this car. And I was just like, oh, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. And he was right, and down the road it came back to bite me in the butt later. But it's these rear wheel arches. So with this car being on air ride, right now, I would say that it sits pretty good for the height that it's at. But when you lower the car down, what happens is there's this really big inside lip. So I have to take the wheel and camber it way in to make sure that the wheel and tire doesn't hit this quarter panel. So what I need to do, and this is a future upcoming video by the way, we need to grind this all back slowly over time so we don't get it too hot, and dial out the fitment. And it just looks bad overall, in my opinion. Whereas if you can get that wheel and tire out closer to that fender, I just think that it looks better that way, versus the tire and wheel sitting way under the car and also having this crazy amount of camber. It just looks silly. So with number 9 is going to be the suspension and the airbag setup and stuff. What I don't like about it is how low it goes. It doesn't go low enough, which is probably funny to some people, but when it airs out, I like the car's side skirts or the front bumper to sit right on the ground. And this car does not do that. And every other car that I've had, I've been able to get it to pretty much do that. So over here on my Tesla Model 3, this plastic piece on the bumper is literally on the ground. And then the same thing on the back, it also is directly on the ground. I would like to be able to modify this. I used to have a bagged Miata. I'll put a picture of that up. And that Miata used to literally lay right on the ground. You could park it, you could be driving down a hill, stop, air the car out, shut the car off, leave it in neutral with the handbrake down, and it would not move, which I think is cool. But it's not practical, it's just all about looks. But yeah, so I'd like to be able to get this car to sit a lot lower than it does, just because it doesn't look that low. And then the other thing is when you're also taking pictures of the car, you can see sunlight underneath it, which to me is annoying, and it brings your eyes to the sunlight under the car because it's not supposed to be there. So I don't like that. And here we are, number 10. And it's a small one, but it's something that's always kind of annoyed me about the car. and the car also has the tinted windshield. But my 10th thing that I don't like about the car is the headlights. So we put, I think there were HIDs at the time. HIDs was the big thing for headlights. Everybody was getting rid of halogen, switching over to HIDs. And that's when this car was like in its prime. So we put HIDs in the car, and they're H4 bulbs, which is high and low in a single bulb, but it changes the position. And they also have to like warm up. So when you turn the headlights on, they have to like warm up. Super annoying, especially where we're in the day and age of everything being instant with LEDs. These are still stuck on HIDs. The housings themselves look great, and they do put out a decent amount of light. It's not that it's necessarily bad, it's just that it's different, and it's also not quite as good as if it had LED bulbs in it. Like I said, these are H4s, and we run H4 bulbs in the Nova over here, and those are all LED. And with them being LED, they're instant, they're really fast, and I feel that they work better than the HID headlights. So here we are, we're at the end. That was the 10 things that I dislike or hate about my Civic. This turbo Civic is like an ultimate kid's dream car. It's air ride, it's cool, like it's tinted, it's got wheels, and it's just comfortable, and it's like pretty quick for, this car makes probably 200 horsepower, or maybe a little more, a little less, somewhere in that range, and it weighs like 2,000 pounds with me in it. I believe that's what we scaled it at. So it's a blast, and it really is. It's a cool car. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are going to be doing the 10 things I love about this turbo and bagged Honda Civic hatchback. So make sure you come back 3 days from now, and we're gonna be doing the 10 things I love. There's a lot of really good things about this car, and I feel like it's interesting to be able to look and see all the cool things about this car. You guys have seen it now a little bit, and so you kind of know basically what it is, but I feel like it's easy to refer people back to these videos. So make sure you're checking out YouTube Shorts. I'm on there every day. I post videos that come out at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, every 3 days we do a video. So stay tuned for the 10 things that I love about this Honda Civic, and we'll see you next time.